Today, today is August 6th, 2026. That means that exactly 5 years ago today, I took my first ever dosage of estradiol. I remember I took it just sobbing, so incredibly emotional, in the parking lot of a Wendy's in Westfield, Massachusetts. And so I have been on feminizing hormone replacement therapy for 5 years. And you would not be able to tell from looking at me. You would not be able to tell at all. Not even remotely. Early on in my transition, I was really optimistic. I had a lot of hope. I believed that things would get better over time, that things would get easier over time. There were things to be excited about. There were physical changes that I could anticipate that would potentially alleviate my gender dysphoria. You know, for me, the whole trans thing has always first and foremost been a matter of I have really severe, intense, suffocating, crippling, like life-destroying levels of physically based gender dysphoria. It has always first and foremost been about my body and about my body being wrong. I know that there's a lot of pushing away from the idea of the like I'm, born in the wrong body kind of line of talking about things. There's been a lot of pushing away from the idea of like I'm a woman trapped in a man's body and that kind of line of explanation. But to be honest, that while I understand the issues with that way of explaining, that honestly resonates more closely with my experience of things than a lot of the way that people these days tend to talk about, gender identity and, the types of terms that people use to describe their experiences with gender and with transitioning. For as long as I have had an understanding that my body was, for as long as I've had that understanding of like my body being male, I've hated it. And as I went through puberty, I hated it more and more, and it brought me more and more psychological anguish. It's almost like a feeling of like distress and anxiety. It's very similar to a lot of like the way that OCD tends to manifest, or the way that like panic tends to manifest. It's similar in a lot of ways to the way that depression manifests, and in much the same way that somebody can just be suffocated by their own depression over time and die from it. Gender dysphoria can do the same thing if it can't be relieved. And in these 5 years, I have learned that my gender dysphoria will never be relieved. I'm never going to be able to be a woman in a way that is, meaningful, to me. I'm never going to meaningfully or really be a woman to myself. I will never have a body that does not cause me profound psychological distress. It's just never going to happen. And the big issue is that you know, I see so many people who have these like really incredible transformations and like they get so much out of hormones. I got nothing. You know, I literally never even started breast development. I have been on high levels of estrogen for 5 years. I have had my blood levels checked so many times. I know my dosage is okay. I know my levels are fucking perfect. They're above the target range. They're like, you know, they're right where you would want it to be. And I have no breasts. I have no breast development. It's nothing. There is nothing. Nothing. And I have this super like hyper masculine, like really burly, big kind of linebacker build, and most of that, it's not even muscle. Most of that is just my skeletal structure. You know, I have this huge protruding back, and I have this big like rib cage and like huge barrel chest and these giant shoulders, and I look super fucking manly. I look more masculine than most just like normal cisgender men. There are probably cisgender men who are insecure about their own manhood, who are jealous of the way that I look. And you know, in those early days of transitioning, when this was all new and I would, oh, my skin feels a little bit softer, oh, my, you know, this and that emotional change, oh, you know, my hairline has like come in just a teensy bit, it's stopped thinning out. You know, that was all so exciting and filled me with so much hope and positivity, and I had this really strong feeling that like things were gonna be okay, and they're not okay. I'm so fucking alone. I'm so fucking miserable. I find it difficult to get to sleep at night because I have to be alone without any distractions inside of my own body, and feeling my own body and the way it takes up space and the way that like my arms feel against my body, and like knowing, having that awareness of like my rib cage and my waist and, you know, my chest and my shoulders and all that is so upsetting and distressing that it's hard to get to sleep at night. I have such severe, extreme physical gender dysphoria, and it's been 5 years. No amount of hormone therapy can fix this, and there is no surgery in the world that could fix this, even if I could get it, which I can't. I'm not going to be able to get any form of surgery. There's surgery that I theoretically want, but I don't know. I would still be man moding right now if it weren't for the fact that my last significant other forced me to start girl moding. But like, nobody takes me seriously as a woman, and why should they? Why would they when I look like this? I mean, even apart from my physical body being, you know, monstrous and abnormal and freakish outside of the bounds of even, you know, normal masculinity and normal cis male bodies, I can't do the like performance of womanhood that other women can do, that other cis women can do, that other trans women can do. I just can't do it. I can't do it right. I can't do it right at all. And I feel so hopeless, and I feel so alone, and I feel so isolated. You know, I don't really have anybody that I'm especially close with, and I never have. You know, in school, I had people that I could talk to sometimes, and I might get invited to do something with socially every now and then. But at the same time, the like groups of friends that I would spend time with like at lunch or something, and maybe once in a blue moon do something with outside of school, like maybe once a year if I was lucky, you know, I was always on the outside of the group. I remember there was this one, you know, the sort of like emo kind of metalhead kids at my school. I would hang out with them because there was music that we had in common, music interests we had in common, and there was this new student that came into school and started hanging out with them. And all of a sudden, like right away, that person was invited to, hang out outside of class over the weekends. They'd all, we'd all be sitting around in class or at lunch, and they'd all be talking about all the stuff they did over the weekend. And I wasn't invited. I hadn't even known that it was happening until afterwards. And now I'm an adult, I'm 27 years old, and I'm 27 years old, and how do you even meet people? I have people in my life that I know that I sometimes talk to, but I'm not especially close to any of them. The importance they have in my life far outweighs the importance and significance that I have in their life, always. It's hard for me to even feel comfortable calling somebody a friend, because that feels like I'm crossing a boundary. Like saying this person is my friend, all I can think of is that person turning to me and saying, "You're not my friend. When did you get the impression that I was your friend? We talk sometimes, but I'm not your friend." That's all I can ever think about. I have people that I might consider a friend, but I don't think they would consider me a friend. But when I started out, I thought, this is where things change. I'm gonna, find community. I'm gonna find, people who love and accept me for the first time in my fucking life. And I'm gonna have, I'm gonna transition and things are gonna go okay. The dysphoria is gonna lessen. And, I'll be able to start, maybe even dressing kind of feminine like I would want to. And it just never happened. And every day it just seems further and further away. It feels like the passage of time doesn't do anything but take from me. When you're a little kid, when you're young, as time goes on, you grow and you learn and you have, enter new stages in life. You get older, you become more independent, new things enter your life. You grow and expand, and as time passes, your life becomes, things are added to your life as time passes. And I feel like, for me at least, at a certain age, really around when I hit 18, that's when I was legally an adult. I guess 21, because then I could legally drink and buy weed, because I've only ever lived in a state where weed was legal. After like 21, it's like all that happens with the passage of time is there comes fewer opportunities for things to get better. And the suffocating weight of that gender dysphoria just weighs heavier and heavier on me every day, every week, every month, every year. And eventually it's going to kill me. Eventually I won't be able to handle it anymore, and it's going to kill me. Because I will never be a woman. I will never have a body that does not psychologically harm me. I will never have a body that does not psychologically damage me every second that I am awake and that I am conscious. Every day, every week, every month, every year that passes, there are fewer opportunities for me to change, for things to get better, for things to grow. There are fewer opportunities for, new experiences in life, for new people to enter my life. There are fewer opportunities for things to get better. And for one brief moment, for like the first year or two, it felt like that it all turned around. Like I was entering a new world, like I was entering a new phase in life, and that was just temporary. That was just a momentary staving off of the encroaching horror, the encroaching pain, the encroaching just cutting off of all possibilities for things to ever get better. Things will never get better. You know, HRT for me, it does nothing. People online like to say, you know, you can just be a woman. You can just be a woman. You can just be a girl. You can just transition. But it doesn't happen for everyone. It doesn't happen for everyone. For some people, they can never be a woman, no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try. They can never belong in any part of society. The normie, heterosexual, cisgender society completely rejects me, and the transgender and queer aspect, you know, segments of society also fully reject me. I am exiled from everywhere. I am an alien everywhere I go. I am loved by no one. I am accepted by no one. And I do not belong anywhere. And I am all alone. And it hurts. And I hate it. And I wish it wasn't like this. I wish things could get better, but they can't. They just can't. Things will never, ever, ever get better. It's not possible. The possibility for things to get better, it exists for other people, but it does not exist for me. Other people can transition and be happy, but I cannot. There's just something wrong with me. I just can't do it. No matter what I do, nothing will ever get better, and it'll never be okay. No matter what happens, I'll never be happy. I'm always going to carry around this pain. It's just going to weigh on me heavier and heavier and heavier until it kills me. I'm just waiting to die. That's just what my life is, and it's just what it's been for decades at this point. Just waiting to die, and nobody will miss me when I'm gone. It'll be like I had never even existed. I will die and it will mean nothing.